Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Listeners, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Life's Essential Ingredients. And I gotta say this now, I've been saying it the last two episodes since I got back from the Camino de Santiago, but Pasha, we back, baby, we back.
It's been a minute. Good to be back, Pasha. Let's go.
Yes. And we are season 2, episode 35. We have Tricia Nelson coming from Los Angeles, California. And first of all, where you can find our guest via her website. She's all over the place, but I just want to keep it simple for you. Her website, healyourhunger.com. healyourhunger.com, and we are in for a treat. So about our guest, Tricia Nelson is an internationally acclaimed author, transformational speaker, and emotional eating expert. She lost 50 pounds by identifying and healing the underlying causes of her emotional eating. She has spent over 30 years researching the hidden causes of the addictive personality. Tricia is the author of the #1 best-selling book, Heal Your Hunger: 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. Tricia is the host of the popular podcast Heal Your Hunger and has been featured on NBC, CBS, KTLA, Fox, and Discovery Health. Tricia, thanks for all the people that you have helped all over the world, and thanks for being our guest on Life's Essential Ingredients. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited. And I know we got a little time crunch, so we're not going to go too fast, but I want to get two things in this episode because you have so much wealth of knowledge to share with our listeners. And listeners, thanks again for tuning in. You know, if you've listened to our show before, we always start with a thought of the day. We are 100% on these with it resonating with the guest. And so all that pressure falls on me. But hey, you let me know, Jeff, you're smoking crack with this? Oh man, that was right on point. And it's from my buddy, Albert Bandura. And so hopefully you're a little bit familiar with him. Maybe not, because he's a nursing theorist. But here it goes. People's beliefs about their abilities have a profound effect on those abilities. Ability is not a fixed property. There is a huge variability in how you perform. People who have a sense of self-efficacy bounce back from failures. They approach things in terms of how to handle them rather than worrying about what can go wrong. Tricia, why would I pick that quote after researching you?
Oh, well, thank you for that. I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, I had to bounce back from some troubles in my life, and can't say I did it so gracefully, but I did it, and my experiences, that's how we learn, right? Is we stumble and fall, and then we pick ourselves up, we learn the lesson, hopefully, and then come back stronger than ever. And I certainly, having been 50 pounds overweight and food addicted, emotional eater, I spent, at least the first 20 of my years of my life hating myself and my body. And that's, obviously not a great perspective to go through life with. But I also had an internal drive to heal, and when diets failed me, and no matter what diet I tried, I continued to, be a yo-yo dieter. When that all failed me, I think that beautiful spirit that we all have inside of us just kept pushing me to try new things, get to the bottom of it, find a solution that really worked. So that is my story. And I think that speaks a lot to what you just shared.
Mm-mm. So we're still 100% in. You took it even deeper, because when I saw this quote, I was like, this is where you are now. So you're helping people develop their beliefs. You're helping people develop their self-efficacy and to be able to bounce back from the challenges that go on with our emotional eating, and then helping them kind of, don't worry, let's just try and move forward, and before I even get into the show, and you're already taking it, and I just wanted to honor and tell you how much I appreciate your vulnerability. I watched your TED Talk
Aw.
I encourage everybody, just Google her name, TED Talk, but it's Tricia Nelson. It just happened in January. Already 453,000 people have viewed it. And yeah, you really just put yourself out there. So I sure hope you're getting a lot of great feedback from that, because it was an incredible talk. And I think so many people have these challenges, which is what I want to get into with you. And you just were just so genuine and authentic. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you for those words. Yeah. My experience is the best thing I have to offer is my personal experience. People who struggle with food and weight have so much shame and so much isolation around it because of their shame. And they think they're the only ones who have done crazy, strange, embarrassing, demoralizing things around their food and their bodies. And so when I do share vulnerably about where I come from, it just sort of lifts that shame for people, at least in part, because that shame perpetuates the problem. I'm so bad. Look what I've done. Look at who I am. And then we just go back into that self-abusive behavior around food or other substances, alcohol, drugs, porn, whatever. And so it's just really important to be, myself, share where I come from, without any shame, because it's not a moral issue for me. It's just, it's a condition I had, but it helps people feel less alone. And that in and of itself helps people begin to heal. So I'm really grateful to be part of the solution for sure.
Man, yeah, and we thank you again for that. And it's crazy. I'll go back to the quote there, but they approach things in terms of how to handle them. And I think that's what you're really role modeling again. And it's so powerful when you can be vulnerable, because then people realize that they're not the only one.
Yeah.
Because the people that you're speaking to might be coming in thinking, oh, man, I'm the only one that's dealing with this challenge. And wait a second, here's this speaker that travels all over the world, and she's no different than me. And here's how she overcame it. And so, yeah, so excited to just get in and pick your brain here a little bit. But I do want to take a step back, and you can share whatever part you want. You spoke about a little bit, but I would kind of just more personally of like, hey, what was life like growing up? Where was that? Just, any part of that you want to address, but I'd like the listeners to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I grew up in the Northeast, and I had a good upbringing in terms of, very loving parents, good circumstances, good schools. I was kind of a B student. I was more of a goof off than I was a hard worker at school, but, I got by. And I think the part that was hard is that I did struggle with my food and weight. And so I was a chubby kid. That was super uncomfortable for me. I hated being fat, and it sort of followed me everywhere where I went, obviously. And I had that kind of shroud of shame. I had two older sisters, and we all were afflicted with having had experiences of sexual abuse from family members or actually friends. So we all had that experience, and obviously that's not easy. And that contributes oftentimes to disordered eating, which we all had. This is all but unbeknownst to my parents. And so, we all had our darkness, our struggles and our secrets, and not a very effective solution. But I think we all kind of had that spirit of let's live through it and figure it out. So I'm very close to my sisters today, and we've all come through that experience, even though we had different experiences. It was, all dark for all of us, and we all had food issues on account of it. So we found our own way. We all had took different paths, but found our own way into a healing, process. And my parents, bless their heart, they, I think that's a hard thing for parents to, wrestle with, that have had kids that were, abused, under their watch. And so, but we all came through. My dad, unfortunately passed of cancer about 22 years ago, but, we just, I don't know. I think we all just sort of had a beautiful white light around us where we all found our way. We all found our way, and we all found a way to love each other and support each other. And I'm super grateful. My mom's 85 today, and she's super strong and healthy, and just the love of my life. So it's kind of like all's well that ends well. But I think the underlying lesson is, don't give up and don't despair and don't stop searching for a solution. Don't think there's something wrong with you. It's just, life happens and life's not easy, and there are lessons in life that we can learn. And so I'm just so grateful to have gotten that early on, because I was pretty tenacious in my search for a solution. So I was young when I started really getting on a better path. So it's been many years now that I've been, on this healing journey, helping other people heal. I mean, literally decades. And my more recent venture, Heal Your Hunger, which specifically helps people with food and weight issues, that just sort of naturally came as an outgrowth of all the other things that I've been doing to help people. So I know you guys are so passionate about helping others, in the way that you do. And it's invigorating. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to have had a mess that became my message.
Man, you said so much right there. And just trying to figure out what to unpack. I mean, one, I just love the title of your book, Heal Your Hunger. And even that hunger, I know you're relating it to food, which is, so many times a substitute for other things. And
yes.
I don't even know if that part of your title, of how you titled your book, maybe even spoke to what you just shared right there, of having a hunger to heal from everything that you and your sisters went through. And I really want to get one of your books and share it with a few people that are in my life. Wow. So I'm just I'm going to jump into, that you were searching for a solution, and you said you've been doing this work for over 30 years. And obviously that solution, somehow you figured out to, and I don't want to use the word victim, but for time's sake, I'm going to use that word. And I don't like that word in this circumstance, but you quickly changed your mindset and started searching for a way that you can develop and heal yourself. How did you, and you said stumbling and looking and searching. Yeah. How did you, walk us through that? Because I guarantee there's people that are listening in that are in similar circumstance that are, and now they can go to your website and speak to the guru, but sometimes maybe they have to go through their own process for getting there, and maybe there's something you can share that might bring some sort of insight to them.
You bet. And the thing is, for anybody who struggles with food and weight, the obvious solution would be to go on a diet. If somebody's overweight or obsessed with their weight and thinks they're overweight, a lot of times I call that fathead, when you're not actually overweight, but you think you are, which is a big part of the problem too. I think the clinical term is body dysmorphia. And anyway, for anybody who struggles with food and weight, it's like, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to get the keto diet. I'm going to get the paleo diet. I'm going to do intermittent fasting, and I'm going to figure it out and lose the weight, and I'll be happy. But, that's what you do like in your 20s. And then you do that for 10 years. And then you start thinking it's not panning out. Like, I keep losing and gaining. So then you start reading books, psychological books, and things about, how to deal with your mental state, which is not a bad thing, but that doesn't heal the food problem. And then you start trying to go on these retreats and courses and all these different things, but that doesn't solve the problem. And so it's a long journey typically for people, who struggle with food and weight, because you start at the very surface, the actual outside of you, the fat on your body. But, speaking to Heal Your Hunger, it is a deeper hunger for sure. And that's really where we have to start, looking, but it takes time, because on paper, it's like, oh, eat less, exercise more, you'll be healed, but that doesn't work. And it really doesn't work, because most people who struggle chronically with food and weight are emotional eaters, which means they are stuffing emotions, like snuffing out uncomfortable feelings with food. They're using food to take the edge off, much like someone will use pot or alcohol or something like that. But many people in our culture use food, carbs, sugar, heavy foods, snacking at night, binging at night in front of the TV, big vats of popcorn, whatever it is. They're using those heavier foods, and they're always the fattening ones. It's not like we're really going, we're going to town with celery sticks. I mean, it's like, it's always the stuff that makes us gain weight. But we do that because it helps us get through emotionally, and a lot of people don't think of it. They think, oh, I just need to lose weight, or I just like chocolate. They don't think of themselves as being emotional eaters. That sounds weird. And that's what I thought too when I first heard the term. I'm like, oh, hogwash, I just like food. But, once I heard that term emotional eating, I started observing my behaviors around food. I thought, I'm a little not normal with food, in that how much I think about it, how much I'm always planning on eating, and how much I talk about food and plan on eating and plan on going out to dinner. It's like I'd have heart palpitations when I was going to my favorite restaurant, So there was something very emotional and connected with me around food. And to me, that's why we can't lose the weight and keep it off, because anybody can diet for a little amount of time. But like you heard in my TEDx talk, it's like, it pales. First you're like, woohoo, I'm going on a diet. Like you have all this energy around it, but then it's a slog and you start hating doing it, and you can't wait to go back to your former way of eating. But of course that just puts you back in the same position around your weight. So we have to deal with why food is such a highlight, like why food is our everything. And for me, it really was because I needed food as my. Life is not easy. Life is stressful. Things come to our lives that we don't expect, that we're not prepared for emotionally, and we lean on food. And if you take all those foods away on a diet, you're going to very quickly want to go back to them if you haven't found something else to lean on. And so that's really the work that I do, is I teach people new coping skills and new ways to just even mitigate stress in their lives. It's so, so important that we find healthier ways to lessen our stress, not create stress, because actually emotional eaters are really good at creating stress by being perfectionists and people pleasers and trying to be all things to all people. There's a theme for emotional eaters where we tend to have personality traits that are very common amongst us, and that all has to be addressed. It's not, people aren't stupid. They know, that salads are better than chicken wings and fries, but why are we drawn to the chicken wings and fries all the time? That's what you have to deal with.
Man, you said so much again. So you don't know this, but my professional career was as a registered nurse for 20
Okay.
years. Yeah. So
Wow, you saw a lot of it.
Yeah, and definitely know how stress and these numbers jump all over the place, but you'll hear anywhere from 85 to 90% of disease is the root cause of that is stress.
Yeah.
And then to hear, how you're talking about the emotional eating, which, again, makes so much sense. And I don't know if you'll know this or not, but you've been doing this for 30 years. Have you seen a difference in, and I don't want to get on technology, but I know that we're distracted now, and we're everything's sped up so fast, and I know our amygdala is kind of firing all the time, and so we're a little bit more on edge now. Have you seen a change in your clients, maybe say 20 years ago to 10 years ago to today? And maybe what are those stresses, and has technology had an influence in that? I don't know if you're following my question.
I do follow it. I think that technology has pluses and minuses. Take Facebook, for instance. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Like all of a sudden I can keep up with high school friends like that I would never have taken the time to call, but I love seeing what they're up to. I love seeing their family life and their travels and all that. But at the same time, Facebook can suck the life out of you if you get onto something and you just forget about the rest of your responsibilities. And, an hour later, you're still checking other people out. It's like, it has two sides, right? And I think technology is that way. I mean, how cool it is that you can just send a text or dictate a text. I love the expediency of that. But at the same time, it's hard for me to put my phone down, and my partner's like, can we not have the phone near us for like an hour, please? And so it's just, it is a double-edged sword. So, and then in the end, I don't know if we're any less or more stressed than we were, 20 years ago, but we're definitely more distracted. There's no question we're more distracted. And the whole, the short attention span of all of us, especially younger people, I think, that have grown up on the screens. It's really sad. And it's also sad regarding physical health. I think we're more sedentary than ever. And I think kids are, at least what I see for people around me, I don't have children, but I'm an aunt, and I see kids not wanting to get up off the couch because they're so addicted to their screens, and that's super concerning. This lack of motivation, lack of ambition, because the screen is right there feeding them, and feeding the reward centers in their brain to where they just don't want to put any effort whatsoever to exerting themselves physically.
All right. I don't want to get, we got about 10 more minutes. I want to get into some parts of your book. But let's just get into some kind of random questions. If someone looking to lose weight, what's a number one mistake that people are going to make thinking, hey, I'm going to start this journey to lose weight? What are some tips and some things to watch out for?
Yeah, well, I'd say if somebody has lost weight many times and feels a little discouraged about dieting, it's for good reason. 98% of all diets fail. So likely you're going to be barking up the wrong tree, so I would say try to, I steer my clients off the diet track. I don't like it. It's the statistics are against them. And the problem isn't really what to eat. Like, again, we all know what's healthy and what's not healthy, but we crave the unhealthy foods. So that's usually on account of stress. So we got to look at, first of all, our schedule. Like we have to have some time in our schedule for relaxation, for a morning routine where we can get centered and quiet. Like I meditate in the morning. I teach my clients to meditate, and just take either meditation, reading spiritual literature or from the Bible, and maybe going for a walk in nature, something that can get you quiet and grounded instead of just popping, up and get on the phone and just getting on that stress train. It's so important. I call it putting money in your spiritual bank account, where you literally are just feeding yourself, nourishing yourself at a deeper level. And you can draw on that resource throughout the day, make withdrawals from the deposits that you made first thing in the morning. But if you don't make those deposits, you're running on empty, there's nothing in the bank account, you're in red, and you're grabbing chocolate and coffee to get you by in the afternoon. And that's just perpetuating the problem. So we do have to slow down. We can't stay so distracted, and running around all the time. And also, like I mentioned, the emotional eaters tend to be people pleasers. We get our sense of self from outside of ourselves. We want people to think we're fabulous and oh so accomplished. And we have to watch that because it comes with a high price. If we're running around all day long, taking care of other people's problems, putting out fires, and we have no time for ourselves, we're burning ourselves out. We're not getting the proper rest. We're living on adrenal stress, and we're not restoring our bodies. And then we're reaching for those quick fixes. So it's really, so much of it is lifestyle changes that we have to make. It's not the next new diet, like that we've done that. Like, let's look at the record. How many times have we done that? It's time to stop that and start looking at, how am I living? How can I live in a more balanced way? And how can I start getting connected to others? So much of the time we're embarrassed if we have an issue with food and we want to solve it ourselves so we don't have to bother anybody about it or admit that we have the problem. But to me, food is the hardest of all addictive habits there is. Overeating is one of the probably hardest addictive habits because you have to eat. It's not like alcohol where you can put the plug in the jug and never take another drink. It's like you have to take your nemesis out of the refrigerator every day and deal with it and put it back in. So it just makes sense that we would need support for that kind of close contact with the thing that's, destroying our health. So getting a coach, getting help, getting support from other emotional eaters is really vital because it takes away that sense of isolation. And it also gives us the support we need for something a problem we've probably had a good part of our lives. So it's deeply ingrained and it's going to take a lot of work to heal, and not by diets, but really by getting proper support, by learning how to deal with stress and those internal personality traits that have driven us for so long.
Wow, that is a lot of good stuff right there. But Tricia, I was kind of wondering, what do you see is someone's biggest obstacle to overcome before they start this road to healing themselves to a better lifestyle?
Yeah, I think it's really, really getting at a deeper level that it's not about food. When we have a weight issue or we have food overeating issue, we think it's about the food, and our minds just naturally go to the next diet, or fixing the food or getting more exercise in our life. But then we don't follow through. We sign up for an exercise program or a gym, membership, but then we don't go because so much of this is taking place between our ears. So it's really not about the food. And if anybody could take anything away, it's that it's not about the food. We have to pivot and start going deeper, and looking at it being more of a systemic issue with ourselves. It's not so much a relationship with food as it is a relationship with ourselves, and that's something we run from. We kind of don't want to go there because that seems kind of complicated and like it's going to involve 20 years of therapy or something, but it doesn't have to. It's just tuning in. It's just observing ourselves. It's observing our thoughts. Our thoughts are programmed against us, thinking we're always going to fail. We're never going to make it. We're same old. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat some worms. It's like we have to start observing this rant that goes on in our head that it's super self-critical, super defeating. And so just starting to observe even our thoughts and how, negative they can be, because that's where the self-sabotage comes from when we start talking trash to ourselves. But again, when you're in an environment of positivity and around other people, which I know you guys do amazing at, is creating that fellowship and community. It's so important. Everybody needs that, and more than ever, because the pandemic has made us so isolated. So, that's soul food. We need community and connection. That is soul food. And that's why we're so hungry, and it's what we're hungry for, but we feed that emptiness with food when we really need to be feeding it with soul food instead.
Man, I wish we could end right there. And you're speaking all C4 leaders language, and I'm not even going to get on because I know you got to go. Let's just share whatever part of your book and I know it's a tough question, but we got a few minutes left, that you think is going to resonate most with the listener. And then, I'm sure they're going to get out and get a copy.
Yeah, the book is called Heal Your Hunger, 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. And I go through each of the steps of my Heal Your Hunger process. There's amazing cheat sheets and quizzes and goodies that come with the book, which is really great that you opt in for. The book is also on, it's on Amazon, but it's also on Audible. So I actually, during the pandemic, I recorded the book on Audible. It's like a 5-hour listen. So it's easy to consume, pardon the pun. But it really is. It's a nice book. It's got cool cartoons in it, and which you won't see if you just get the Audible. I recommend the Audible and the other. You can kind of reference them together. But it's kind of nice because you can pick it up anywhere in the book. you can just flip and just get somewhere and definitely get some juicy morsels from it.
I love it. And listeners, again, healyourhunger.com, got an incredible blog. She's not talking about because of time's sake, but she has an incredible Facebook group. She's offering conferences and just so much support. And if you didn't hear anything, the importance of connecting with others. And I think that is a gift that you have as well from researching you, that you realize there's just a power in numbers, and for people to not realize that I don't have to do this on my own. And if I can have an accountability partner, if I can have somebody to reach out to when I'm struggling and I'm craving something, and I know that that's not it, it's the deeper stuff, and then we go have that conversation. Yeah, Tricia is the one to help you. Again, healyourhunger.com. With that.
Yeah, and I have a podcast called the Heal Your Hunger Show also, since we have listeners here.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we mentioned that, but listeners, get on and check out that podcast as well. With that, we thank you so much for coming on the show. Pashalito, it was great seeing you again. You got any closing remarks?
Just want to say thank you very much, Tricia. Really appreciate it. And keep doing what you're doing. Really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Yep. Listeners, that's it. That just happened. Boom, baby. We out.